some vet, a crazy guy, kidnaps the dog because he wants to shoot dogs in the head. What? That's like his fun thing. He wants to see what different guns do to dog brains. So the best way to do this is just kidnap dogs and shoot them in the head.
This isn't a real movie. This isn't a children's movie.
That is a real movie. It is called Beethoven.
What? Well, now I have
Remember that old game where I said we'd play, I just tell you the plot of a movie and you tell me if it's real or not?
Yeah, not real.
I'm pretty sure that's the plot of Beethoven.
Yikes.
But we're not talking about big old dogs. We're talking about so many birds.
All those birds.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of I Love This, You Should Too. My name is Indy, the big dog, Randhawa. And with me is Samantha, go birds, Randhawa.
True.
Because you love those birds. You're a big Eagles fan when they are winning. But you were a Chiefs fan, so you were actually, your team lost this Super Bowl. Then you were happy and you said, yeah, I like the Eagles anyway. So.
I do like the Eagles.
You like whoever wins.
I like partaking in the watching of football.
And you're happier if your team is the winning team. So
oh, yeah.
You just to make sure that's easier, you just I'll just cheer for the winning team. I'll just cheer for good teams only.
Yeah.
Not like me suffering with my Dolphins. But we are talking all about the birds.
Those birds.
Not those birds. The birds. The 1963 Alfred Hitchcock thriller horror?
Thrill horror?
That's what it is. It's one of those thrill horrors. So we are going to talk about this movie. We are going to spoil it, but it's, old, so you should have watched it. And that's what we do in these anyways. We are not going to recap the plot. We're going to analyze. Mm-hmm. Although I'm going to try to go lighter on analysis these days.
Okay.
I get too into it, and then I'm writing these big essays. Nobody's listening to this. You know what podcasts are very popular?
Shitty ones.
When it's just people going so I was in traffic, and then they just talk about their
banality.
Day. Yeah. It's like you tell me what you look for in movies and TV shows. You're like, but I have to look at that one. I want to be able to be on my phone at the same time.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking all this analysis, people can't be on their phone at the same time.
True.
So I'm just going to be like, those birds, those are pretty good, huh?
Some birds. Some black ones, some white ones.
All different kinds.
All kinds of birds.
But the first thing is, Samantha, your first time seeing the birds.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? Did you like it?
I liked it.
Didn't love it.
I don't know. I don't think I can say that I loved it.
I don't know that I loved it, honestly.
I enjoyed it. It was kind of interesting to see. And
it was good.
I always enjoy seeing movies from different times. And it's definitely, I can acknowledge that it's an important movie.
Sure.
Because you can see a lot of things from more modern movies that have been emulated from this one. Mm-hmm. I just don't think I loved it.
It's weird. It's a weird
one,
Hitchcock movie because you've seen just the two movies of his so far?
I think so.
It is a very strange one. It doesn't fit in with a lot of them. It's the odd one out in so many different ways, but I think that's what I like about it. It's a weird movie and it's kind of fun. I enjoyed it though. I thought it was a lot of fun.
There were so many things I liked about it. I really liked the fashion in it, which is something that that I watch movies for. I enjoyed the different time that this was set in.
You just like the past.
I think I do.
You do like the past. You like the past too much.
You're saying that with a very sad look on your, upset look on your face.
Yes, because that's, you know what? We'll get into that in a few episodes.
Okay, great.
You know how we always have a couple debate on the awards episode?
Right.
Which will be episode 300 coming up soon.
Yes.
I say this year's, you always say if you could travel in time, you'd go backwards and I would go forwards.
Uh-huh.
So that should be our debate this year.
Okay.
But back to the birds.
Yes.
So you liked it. It was fun.
It was fun. But I definitely can't say I loved it.
You know what? That's fair.
What about you?
I liked it a lot. I guess it depends on where that line of love is. You said an 8 out of 10 is love. In that case, yeah, I love it. It's an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
But it's not a 10 out of 10 to me.
No.
It's no Psycho. It's no Rope.
It's no
Psycho.
Vertigo. Yeah.
But it's fun and weird. And as much as I like those movies that are like, this is the one, you can see all the things that this did, it perfected so many things and pioneered so many things. I also like those movies that like, how did this one get in there? They're doing some weird things. He's just kind of doing whatever here.
Yeah.
And that's fun to me. Like Hitchcock always talked about that the plot isn't where the artist comes through. Like you can give him any plot and he's going to make his movie his way. And this is kind of a good example of that.
Yeah.
That this is just an artist doing his thing. And it doesn't really matter that it's about birds attacking for no reason. It could have been about anything, and he would have done the same sort of things with it, which is weird, but also very interesting, which I think is what this movie is. Weird, but very interesting.
That's a good way to put it, I think.
So let's talk a little bit about where this movie came from. Then we can get into some character and plot stuff, some theme stuff. And we'll probably have to talk about some formal things, whether it's editing or all the special effects and birds on this.
So many birds.
And then we're going to talk a little bit about why Hitchcock's an asshole.
Okay.
Because he's a real dick. And I said that on other movies, but here, him and Tippi Hedren, it's a whole nother level.
Is it?
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Was he bad to her?
Yes.
Oh, I really liked her. She was one of the things I really liked about this movie.
Me too. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get into all
Okay.
of that. But first, this was very loosely based on a 1952 short story by Daphne du Maurier, who was a very good writer. Go read some of her stuff. But it's pretty much just the title and birds are attacking people. Those are the only things that are left over from that.
Oh.
That movie takes place on it's a farm, right? But in England or no, it's been a while. I read it for this reason, and I already forgot so much. But the biggest takeaway is that one is much more about post-war anxieties, and it's very much a World War II reactionary story. And there was a bit of a true event that inspired this as well, because there was a seaside town in California in 1961 where a bunch of seabirds were just like dive bombing houses and attacking people and stuff.
Wow.
They said it was due to toxic algae. They got that bird madness.
Oh.
Yeah, bad case of bird
You got to
madness.
watch out for the bird madness.
You do.
That's how you get.
And I think there's even
murdered.
a line in this movie about like, oh, didn't something like this happen before? That's what they were talking about, a real thing that actually did happen. When it came out, it was like, meh. People thought, yeah, it's okay, it's fine. But since the legend, it's not really a legend, it's a movie. The movie got a lot more popular as the years went on. But now I think it's kind of going away again, because it's not one of those ones you think about. But then again, I don't even think Hitchcock's one of those people think about now. Because when I was in university, which is, quite a while ago, it's like
It's a couple years ago.
15, 20 years ago, Hitchcock was still it was a name that people knew, even if you didn't watch all of his movies. Now I don't think he's nearly as big.
I feel like, and maybe I just had very film friends, which I did. I feel like I've heard a lot about Hitchcock.
Yes, but also, wasn't that 15, 20 years ago?
I don't want to talk about it.
So you make fun of me for being old all the time.
I know.
Only to realize you're pretty much the same age.
Yeah, I emailed somebody the other day and realized that it had been 20 years since I probably had seen them.
Also, you're using email.
Well, that's my job. That's like 90% of my job.
Yeah, sounds like an old person.
It is an old person job.
Why don't you Facebook message me later?
We Facebook message for most of our
Exactly.
relationship.
Old.
We just started actually texting each other.
Because we're old like that.
We are old like that.
I'll ICQ you message later.
I know.
MSN Messenger.
Oh, I know MSN.
That
but
was a golden era.
That's as early as I got in messaging. I never did AOL or whatever that thing you just said was.
I bet if we just talked about different messaging services we've used over the years, that would be way more popular than if we're like, well, if a Freudian reading on this is that the birds are representative of female sexuality. Like if we just talked about, hey, remember MSN Messenger? And everyone would be like, yeah, I remember that. That would be the whole podcast.
Did you change your status?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And you had to use all the little like dashes and
So
stuff.
Sam just like wiggled her fingers, and I was like, I know exactly what that means because I am that old.
Because you like make little swirls and stuff out of the like keyboard implements.
The keyboard implements.
I am 90.
I knew exactly what she meant, and in fact, I was going to say that before you did. I couldn't think of a way to articulate it, and apparently neither could you. But the people who know exactly what you mean.
Yes.
And the people who don't know, why bother explaining?
Why bother?
It?
That's the only reason I can type as fast as I can.
Oh, I never got good at typing. But we're not doing that podcast.
No, sorry. I could talk about that for a while, actually.
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Birds.
So you liked Melanie a lot, played by Tippi Hedren.
I like the name Tippi as well.
Yeah. I think it's Natalie is her real name.
Oh.
And she is the grandmother of someone who I just yesterday was saying, how does this person have a career?
Melanie Griffith.
Well, that's her daughter.
Yes.
And then her granddaughter would be?
Dakota Johnson,
who I didn't know who that was up until this year. And I watched a bunch of movies with her this year. Yes. And they were all very bad.
Yeah, she's not a great actress.
Maybe she's good in something. I haven't seen that something,
She's
though.
like a third generation Nepo baby.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why.
But man, she's been bad in everything I've seen. So you out there, if you know a good Dakota Johnson movie where she is good, let me know. I'll give her a chance. But
we would like to know, please.
Because it's not Madame Web or any of those. She's 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes.
Wow, she's bad in those.
Yeah.
But
it's just not a great career.
But then again, she's a millionaire, and we are sitting at our kitchen table doing this for free. So I guess she's great. But Melanie, played by Tippi Hedren, what'd you like about her character?
I liked, she was very stylish, which I know is probably like hair, makeup, and wardrobe, but she seemed...
But that's her character, though.
Yeah, she seemed like a very, like, in her real life, she'd be very stylish as well. And I think that's like of a time where you're like dressed and your hair's always done, and like she seemed fancy, which we have said multiple times on this podcast is what I like about people.
Your main thing that makes you like a character first is it's usually wealth, then it's whiteness, then it's blondness.
She is very blonde. I don't know. She just seemed like very charming and elegant. And I liked that.
I was going to say that I liked her because she's a dick. Yeah. This character is a jerk.
That's what I was going to say next, was that she's like her own woman. She's very strong, and she's not in need of help unless 10,000 birds are
until
her.
She is, but it's very warranted. Because,
but he would have also needed help.
Anyone would have needed help then. So, I like that she's kind of seen by the outside world as this like flighty, frivolous person. But yeah, she's independent. She's doing like something dumb, but she's doing it on her own. Yeah. She's doing it with confidence. She's dressed impeccably while getting in and out of a boat. Mm-hmm. Like she's not concerned with appearances. And that might make you think of like, no, she's dressed so well, but that's not the way. She doesn't really care what other people think of her because they have all of these wild ideas of her, and she doesn't need to argue about it.
Yeah.
She's just like, I'm going to be me, and you'll figure out why you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I liked was that she was like willing to see a whole joke through with the lovebirds and stuff. She was willing to drive to a different city or like town. She paid money for these birds and then drove them like an hour away, and then like
breaks into someone's house,
rented a boat, drove the boat, broke into his house, put the birds down with a note, went around to find out his sister's name. Like she like committed to this and thought it was hilarious, and then hid in the boat while he figured it out. And I just like appreciate that level of commitment.
I want to be rich enough that I can devote an entire day to a practical joke.
Yeah.
Because I would. You know I would.
You totally would. But I liked that about her, was that she was like, yeah, I'm just going to like do this crazy thing and I'm going to put my all into it. And I thought it was a really fun way to start off the movie.
And I like that she's not just relying on other people for everything. And she's not this crazy superwoman who has like a shotgun in one hand, is kicking doors open. She's strong when she is in a world where she can control things and she's used to. But of course, yeah, she does fall apart when she's attacked by hundreds of birds, because she was attacked by hundreds of birds.
Because
and I can see that.
Would.
Yeah.
You find me a person who wouldn't be.
I liked her relationship with, is it Annie? Is Annie her name?
Yes.
The school teacher?
Yeah.
It's way better than whatever's going on with Mitch.
I enjoyed it because I feel like these are two women who would actually just get along really well. Mm-hmm. And they both got their own like things going on. So they don't need each other. They're not like desperately in search of a best friend.
No, not at all.
But I think that if Annie had lived until the birds went away or whatever, I think that they would have been really good friends.
Yeah.
I could see that being like a non-competitive female friendship.
They could just be like snarky about other people to each other together.
Yeah, I can see them like smoking cigarettes and drinking wine and like shit talking the rest of the town on the couch on a Friday.
I wanted them to get together. I think that's a way more interesting relationship than with Mitch. Really, all the female relationships in this are much more interesting than anyone's with Mitch. Like Mitch and Melanie, there's not much there. That's probably the weakest relationship in this movie.
Yeah, I didn't really understand when they got together.
Or if they did, really.
I don't know, like, because it felt like they went from like, oh, like, I bought you birds and like, ha ha ha. And then it's like, there's danger. And then they walk out of the bedroom the next morning, like, and kiss goodbye. You're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is a thing now.
I think they just got like thrown together and the situation just kind of forced it.
Oh, so it's a situationship.
I'm not sure what that means, but you only told me what that means like last week. So
yes.
I don't know if that's the case.
But yeah, no, I definitely think that like situationally they made sense together because who else is going to protect her? And she can't really leave the house and she's not going to get with the mom.
Well, the relationship of Melanie with Mitch's mom, I thought was very interesting because Melanie was abandoned by her own mother. And she says that and she's like, yeah, whatever. I'm over it. And she seems like, she is. But then after her big ordeal, she kind of reverts to like a childlike state and she finds comfort in the mother because she never really had that. And the mom who didn't like Melanie because she has some weird things going on with her son and the loss of her own husband, that she was against Melanie, or kind of, it seems like any woman being in Mitch's life. Yeah. But now she kind of sees it as, oh, I'm not, the saying of not losing a son but gaining a daughter, but she really means it because she only had her son. And now she's like, oh, now there's another child for me to look after. So that's how she kind of wins over the mom, is helplessness. Yeah,
it was interesting because the mom, like, it felt like a classic mom in like a romantic comedy who's very standoffish and like protective of her son. And then you find out that the dad's died and like there's just like a lot of extra baggage on there. And I'm like, oh, this could be like a real murdery thing.
There's so many movies that we don't see in this movie. And I think that's one of the great things about it because we don't really get bird attacks until close to an hour in.
Right.
I think it's like 51 minutes when like a real one happens. There's like that one bird that swoops down and things like that. But the attack happens at 50 minutes in, which is a long time. But we feel like we know these characters. And there's all these movies that are alluded to that we don't get to see. Like how her husband dies and now she relies solely on her son to kind of fill that role. And he's coming back every weekend to be that. And then there's the younger daughter who's so much younger. What's going on there? That's a little weird. And Annie, who moved over there, gets scared off by the mother, but then still never leaves. Is just kind of stuck there pining after Mitch. It seems like. Has she really moved on? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or just Melanie, like all these things she's doing in Europe and jumping into fountains and it's getting misrepresented in the media. I want to see that movie too.
Me too.
Those are so many good movies that I could see. But instead we just get this day of them. And then birds attack.
And then birds. Yeah, I would like to see so many of those movies. And then there's like the hint of like what could be between Melanie and Annie. That's another movie I'd like to see.
Yeah, I want that sequel.
I want like Melanie to move to Birdtown and like start up a life there, and then have Annie as like her best friend.
Oh, I want Annie to accompany Melanie on another European vacation, and then they like go wild in Rome or something.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun.
My pitch for the sequel of this movie, assuming that Annie hadn't died, was Melanie and Mitch are going to get married, and then Mitch like stands her up or something. And Annie was the best lady. What's that called? Maid of honor.
Maid of honor.
And then
I like best lady.
Melanie's like, well, I'm going on my honeymoon anyway. You're coming with me. And then they go on a vacation around Europe.
Yeah, I like that.
Just two single ladies out on the town. And then they fall in love. Man, I would watch that movie. That sounds great.
That sounds fun. That sounds like lots of hijinks would happen.
So this movie, I was going to ask, why is it scary? But I guess first I should ask, is it scary?
No.
Not at all?
Not really.
The idea of like just birds attacking you?
It's like unsettling, and I'd rather it didn't happen.
Yeah, I would rather it didn't happen as well.
But I don't think it's like a horror movie. I don't find it horror-esque. Horrific?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like the idea is horrific, like of thousands of birds attacking you. Yeah, that's horrific.
Why?
Because I don't know how you'd fight off thousands of birds.
Yeah, they didn't very well.
Like there's like, murderers coming after you. There's like things you could do. You can fight back, or you can hide, or like call the police. But like 1,000 birds flying at you from every direction, there's not much you can do about that.
How many birds do you think you could fight? Seagulls?
2.
2?
Yeah.
I think I'm good for 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't find that this movie did anything more than like build suspense.
And he's very good at that, I think. But I think what's unsettling about it isn't that like, yeah, I don't know how I'd fight that many birds. What I like about it is, why are these birds doing that? Yeah. I like the fact that it's unexplained. Because those ones, like those horror movies where it's a slasher movie, but someone just picks a house and terrorizes them. That's scarier to me than like, oh, I'm from this long line from this cult and it believes this and that's why this killer. When it's just random, random violence is so much scarier. Because right now, a person, if they wanted to, if they tried hard enough, could come in here and kill us.
Yeah.
And birds could as well. Because it's also like so unexpected. Also, because birds, you see birds every day. And if they were to suddenly turn, the idea of something that's always there turning on you, I think that makes it more unsettling that it's birds and not like wolves. Wolves would actually be scarier if in the real world, if they were to come get you. But the idea of something that is kind of mundane, something we take for granted, something that we think we understand.
It's just everywhere.
We don't understand it.
Yeah.
I think that's the
scary
thing I like about it. The randomness and that it's birds.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't, the unexpectedness of it as well.
How would we arm the house for that? I'm just like thinking about
just
that.
Just like they do, board up the windows and hope for the best.
But we don't have any wood.
Yeah. We'd have a hard time. We'd probably just go to the basement is what I'd say.
Oh, yeah. And then we could do like couch cushions in the window wells and stuff.
Oh, those birds were getting through the wood, so I think they might get through that.
We'd figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, although this is the same kind of complacency that we saw in the movie, but I think we don't have to worry about the bird attacks.
Oh, that's good to know.
I hope. Who knows?
I would really like to not worry about the bird attack.
I'm just going to live my life not worrying about bird attacks.
Okay.
You can't let the fear of bird attacks dictate how you live your life, Samantha.
You're right. I'm afraid of a lot of other things.
You're letting the birds win.
Oh, man. You can never let the birds win.
No.
That's my slogan.
I also like that this is essentially like a proto-zombie movie. When you look at it, this has more in common with Night of the Living Dead than it does any Hitchcock movie. It's like all these people doing their own things. We get like one little event at the beginning that foreshadows what's going to happen later. And then it's mostly people in a house trying to keep these unthinking random attacks at bay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of scary. And the way that the big bird attack inside the house was filmed, like it was scary.
I agree. Yeah, I liked those sequences, especially when it's all the little sparrows coming through the fireplace.
Yes,
that was a good effect.
Because it's like the one place you didn't think of.
And then there they are. I like Hitchcock movies because I think those Romero zombie movies have these big, sweeping kind of societal implications or allegories to them. And I don't think Hitchcock does that nearly as much. He's way more concerned with these small groups, these individuals, and more the psychological meanings behind things. Mm-hmm. And I liked in this when there's this bird attack. And now that we've gone through something else which was destructive and random and we weren't prepared for because of our complacency in COVID, the things that we saw in our world, when you see them all happen in this movie too, you're like, fuck, we're so predictable.
Yeah.
Because when the bird attacks are happening and they're talking at the diner, one person's like, that's not real. You're lying. I don't believe it. That's fake news. And then someone else is like, oh no, this is the end of days. It's all because you're sinners. And then someone else is just like, don't talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. Let's just ignore it and it'll go away. And then one person's like, let's just kill them all. Get your guns, everyone. We're going bird hunting. And then someone else is like, you did it. You're new here. It's all the most fault. Foreign person. And we don't have any actual different ethnic minorities to pick on. So you are from the big city. So it's your fault.
Yeah.
And every one of those we saw in the real world.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Because, the whole, I expected them to go a little harder on the, you're new to town. You must be the reason that this happened than they did. But I liked in the diner scene the varied responses to the same thing.
And how predictive they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Hitchcock, there's a lot of things I think he doesn't do well, but I think he gets psychology of mob mentality and just of all sorts of different things. And I think he himself was not well. Do you have any thoughts on what the birds are all about in a film reading kind of way? Are you a Freudian and saying it's all about female sexuality? Or I guess that gets into the Jungian stuff too, right?
I feel like I didn't pay enough attention in psychology to be able to have a full breakdown on that.
What was it they did the anima in, you know what? Before I start quoting Jung and getting it wrong, I'm just going to say, I don't believe all that stuff in this one anyway. So go back to you.
Yeah, I actually read a little bit about this after.
Ooh.
Because it was in my brain and I needed to do something other than work. And I kind of enjoyed this article that I read about how it's kind of a exploration of the bad feelings about female sexuality. She's independent. She's knows herself and is not kind of adhering to what in a small town, especially what a young woman would be doing. And maybe in the big city, it's different. And because she's got money and her dad owns a newspaper, so she's got this privilege. I feel you come to this small town and it is a bit of a shock. And you get to see this whole exploration of how a small town will try and make you conform, I guess.
So I know you didn't write this, but then what are the birds? I don't really get.
So it was the idea of the newcomer and that kind of thing, and then the fact that she got kind of the worst of it.
Sure. Well, that's not true. A bunch of people died.
But I mean, we seen the most of her attack, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's more time spent on it, and it kind of felt like a mob situation, right? Where she's being attacked for who she is and that she's brave and that she's not cowering in the basement with everyone else. And I don't know. I enjoyed that idea.
I think I had heard that before, and for once, I'm not the one that's like, what it means all this? But I don't know if it holds up as well because, all those other people died and everyone got attacked as well. She's the one who brought it into the world, I guess? Question mark?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to back it up.
Okay.
I definitely can't debate you about this.
Well, I never have anything to back up anything I say. Anyway. I think I took this one as just being a little more simple than symbolic. And it was just about how nature is a force and we don't treat it as such. And just like a flood, right? Water is something that we take for granted. It is always there. But maybe he's saying that we do take all of these natural things for granted. We exploit them, and things can turn on us like that. And maybe in our world, we're more seeing it like, oh, with climate change, we did all these things, and now things are getting flooded, and it happens quick. Mm-hmm. And we have become complacent, so we don't think we need to worry about things that we see all the time. We take it for granted, and then it can turn just like that. So I kind of took it as just more of a reminder of the power and fickle nature of nature that we think, or just anything that we think we can control, and we cannot. Because if birds all decided to attack us, what are you going to do? Exactly what happens in this movie. Humans would figure it out, but no, they're killing a bunch of us.
Yeah, it would take a long time for us to unify and figure it out.
Yeah, well, we would just blame each other or immigrants. Probably is what we would do.
The new person.
Yeah,
let's find the newest person and blame them.
And I liked the reversal that the first time we see birds, of course, is in the pet store, bird store. Is it just birds? I think it's just birds.
It was pretty much just birds, yeah.
So they're in that bird store and they are all in cages, of course, and the people are walking around freely. And then by the end of the movie, the birds are free and in charge, and the people are in cages, whether it's phone booths or cars or their houses. And just as our movements and entrapping these birds would make no sense to the birds, they don't understand our intentions or what we're doing. At the end, we have no idea of why the birds would be doing this. Like, why are they attacking us? Well, we kind of attack them all the time. So, I don't know, it makes just as much sense as how we act.
Right.
It's kind of a reversal that way. And I liked how, because it's Melanie and Mitch, who are both very assured of themselves. They are confident people in their actions and they have established roles in society. But then it's kind of like, what if things change? What if birds suddenly attack you? What if all the poor people we exploit turn on us? What if all the countries that we are taking advantage of for our lives change and band together and rise up against the more powerful nations? Like the status quo is fragile. And I think I like that part of this movie too, that things can change. Things can change. All it takes is something that we've become complacent with to switch on us, and suddenly it's all different and we get our eyes pecked out by birds.
I don't want my eyes pecked out by birds.
Oh, you don't?
No, I just like that on the record.
I'll make note of that here, and no eye poking.
Yes, please.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Thanks for writing that down somewhere.
And it's on here, so everyone will know now.
Yeah, perfect.
What about some of the filmmaking stuff? What did you like or dislike or find interesting about how this movie looked, how it was put together?
I don't know. This isn't my strong suit.
No, but maybe you bring in, you're the populist, you're the audience. You said that you found it suspenseful.
Yeah. Yeah, there was lots of really good moments, like when they're trying to go outside at any point. They did or Hitchcock, I guess, did a really good job of making those moments really suspenseful. And the tiptoeing and the unsureness, and half the time when they were trying to leave a building, there were just birds hanging out. So you that it could happen any second. So that was some good suspense. And that was probably the most tense part of the movie, and anything kind of bordering horror.
I did like specifically the leaving the school attack, because Melanie is sitting outside and then we see some birds gathering and she doesn't see that. That's always fun when you know something that the character doesn't. Oh man, my high school English is failing me. That is called something irony, dramatic irony, right?
I don't know.
All right, let's say it's dramatic irony because we know what's going to happen, but she doesn't yet. And he takes the time to let that build, like all of the birds gather. And then it's not crazy attack. First they come out and it takes time. There's that song that they're singing that's in the background.
Oh, that was a weird song.
It was a weird song.
Like oopty gloopty gumpty groupie.
I think that's the one.
Yeah. Here you go.
Now. That's all I remember.
Oh, right. Some of those like tension moments. And then I think he did a really good job because I feel like he probably didn't have like 100 birds to play with.
Oh, yeah. No, he did.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There are so many birds. There are so many birds in this movie. We'll get to that. That I did look up some numbers for. But I just like that the editing and the visuals were telling the story. It wasn't through dialogue. We rarely learned anything from dialogue. We learned from watching what was happening, which I liked.
There was like the odd line, like when the school teacher is talking about how she moved there to be with Mitch.
Yeah.
That's like one of the few.
We get backstory through dialogue, but we don't learn much about what's happening now through dialogue.
Yeah.
That's always just kind of watching and seeing.
Yeah.
Watching, but also listening. What did you think about the score of this movie?
Don't know that I really remember it.
Exactly.
Was it like really quiet?
There wasn't one.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought, because I was like, I honestly cannot.
Which is incredibly rare, especially with Hitchcock, because he always worked with Bernard Herrmann? Let's say Bernard Herrmann, who's a great composer. And we talked about him a lot in Psycho, but he's also worked on other movies that we've done on this podcast. He's very, very good and is such a good part of building Hitchcock's style of tension. And then to just take the score out completely, have no music in this movie at all, outside of like someone listening to something on the radio or the kids singing, and the rest is just bird sounds.
Right.
That's such a choice. And I guess it works. It makes you more linked with those characters. Nothing feels like it's being telegraphed to you. It's not like, oh, this is the spooky music, so now we know something scary is going to happen. It just seems so much more visceral that in these giant attacks that go on for minutes, all we hear is squawking.
Yeah. Yeah. And like flapping.
Yes, so much flapping.
You get a lot of flapping. And that's why I was like, I can't remember anything about the score. And usually that is something that I like pick up on.
Yeah.
So I was kind of racking my brain earlier today when I was thinking about this. And I was like, I remember zero about the score. And I'm like, was there a score? Like, I remember.
There's always a score.
There's always a score. Yeah. So I was like really thinking about it. Flapping. That was something that like really helped enhance how crazy some of these scenes were.
So chaotic with the squawking and the flapping.
Yeah.
More than any music would be able to tell you, I think.
I think so.
They used an electroacoustic mixture trautonium to create all the bird sounds.
What were those words?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was something German.
Neat.
So it was like something that predates the synthesizer.
Okay.
So they made electronic bird sounds.
Interesting. Okay.
There were 370 different effects shots in this movie. And then the last shot, when there's all those birds and they're driving away, that's a composite of something like 30 images.
Wow.
And they just layer them on up to get all those birds in there.
Crazy.
And they couldn't do normal blue screen stuff because the birds, when they're like flapping their wings, you'd be able to see the fringing on it. So they used this sodium vapor process, which I actually spent the time to figure out how it works, but we don't need to know.
I'm happy to just like enjoy.
It was something different.
Okay.
And they used an optical printer for that like sparrow scene. One thing I thought was real fun, that in the premiere in London, after the movie let out, they put speakers up in the trees and started playing all these screeching and bird flapping sounds to scare everyone. I think that's pretty fun.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And the majority of the birds in the movie are real. And that was about 3,200 birds.
That's so many birds.
So many birds.
That's like too many birds to even imagine.
Yeah. But they still did spend a lot of money on mechanical birds as well. Hitchcock said that ravens are the most clever birds and seagulls are the most vicious. And Rod Taylor, who played Mitch, said that the seagulls and birds were fed a mixture of wheat and whiskey to get them docile. They were just a little drunk all the time.
It was another time.
And in some sequences, so at first in Melanie's big attack scene, they were going to tie the mechanical birds to her. So when she moved around, they wouldn't be able to get far, right? So they're always flying. And then at the last minute, Hitchcock was like, you know what? That's not going to work. Let's tie real birds to her. So they just tied a bunch of birds to her.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awful.
And then when she's in the phone booth, the glass smashing was just real. They just smashed glass and it cut her up doing that. Her eyelid got bitten by one of the birds in one of the scenes. And after the big scene where she gets like just attacked, she needed a week off to just heal, to actually heal, because she was just attacked by birds. That's how they did it.
Oh my God.
Like, how do you get this bird attack? Let's just attack her with birds.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. You're awful, Alfred Hitchcock.
Ooh, that's not even the bad parts of him. Well, that is bad.
Okay.
That's not even the worst parts of him. So then he was also, of course, saying like, what? You don't need time off. Get out there. But she was like, yeah, she was messed up. But she was like found, I guess, in a commercial. He saw her and was kind of just obsessed with her and said like, she's going to be my next star. She'd never said words in a movie or commercial or TV or anything like that. And he just said like, I like the way you look. You're going to be a new star actress now.
What?
And he's like very well established, a big name director, and just gives her the lead and signed her to I don't know, it's like a 5, 6, or 7 movie deal that you're going to be in all of our movies now. And apparently it wasn't so bad on this one, but this, of course, sounds very bad. But afterwards, he would just go on to like sexually harass her. Wow. Apparently her career was like not what it could be because he wouldn't allow it, essentially. There's stories of him just grabbing her. And then when she said no, he just made her life very, very difficult after that.
Wow.
Yeah, he was just obsessed with her. And then when rejected, behaved like a crazy person, because I think he's like, yeah, he's not well adjusted.
Kind of seems
he was
like
not
it.
a good guy.
That's terrible. Yeah. I'm sorry, Tippi.
Yeah, and she talked about it more in like way after the fact. A lot of it doesn't come out until after Hitchcock's death. But then I think she might have written a book. There was a movie made about her too. I haven't seen that though.
Oh, huh. Yeah, he seems shitty.
He is.
Yeah.
A lot of great directors were. Because they were just like, I am the boss of everything here and can do anything to anyone. And they just have to listen. Like Kubrick was bad, but not like Hitchcock.
Yeah. Directors, be less shitty.
Yeah. Looking at you, David O. Russell. Well, anything else on The Birds?
I don't think so. I feel like that's a very boring answer. But
Well, that just means we're done.
Yeah, I think it was a fun movie to watch. I enjoyed it. I definitely, I didn't love it. And I don't know that I'd classify it as like a horror film, but maybe a mystery suspense film.
What's the mystery? Oh, I guess what are these birds doing?
The birds. What's the mystery? Birds.
I like this one because it is a weird movie, both for its time and for Hitchcock's career. I like that it is this is it a horror? Is it a mystery? It's a monster movie. It's a nature against nature movie. It's a love story. It's one of those locked in dramas. It's so many different things. And it's a hard one to kind of figure out. But in the end, I'm like, I liked it though.
Yeah.
And I think how weird and out of place it is part of why I like it.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
All right. Well, we're not getting any more clever than that, so let's cut it there. What are we going to do next week, Sam?
I will be introducing our big watch for the week after, and we will have 2 spoiler-free things of the fortnight.
I was about to ask you, what's it going to be? But you just said you're going to tell me next week.
Next episode.
Yeah.
Just wait until the episode.
Fine.
We've never ruined it for the...
Oh, we have.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. But it will be next episode.
All right. Well, join us then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Birdies, birdies.
That's what it should have been called.
Birdie, birdie.
Birdies, birdies.
Mm-hmm.